A Vermont voter asked me, Mark, are you in that space where the left kind of wraps around and meets the right? I think she used the term horseshoe. My answer is maybe, and with this, I will let you decide. I'll be more precise. Liberty-minded public servants, that is I, we unite on freedom. The federal government, in the hands of two large parties, is oppressive to everybody on the outs. They are coddling of those who are on the in. Progressives are often on the outs. They are neglected by most federal policies. And yet conservatives are repulsed by most federal policies too. We Jeffersonians believe in minimizing federal power. That way everyone is happier. I ask progressives, are you happy with the following federal policies? 1, supporting defense contractors. 2, paying huge sums to Midwest agribusinesses. 3, supporting big pharmaceutical companies. 4, tying the federal government to tech firms that spy on us. 5, supporting big banks that foist credit debt on unsuspecting youngsters. 6, supporting HMOs and big insurance companies. I ask those who signed on as Democrats in the 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, do you like the current federal policies about protecting women, civil rights, child labor, sex trafficking, 3 strikes policies that put kids into prison too quickly? If you dislike any of the above, guess what? You have very good company, because we, known as conservatives, when it comes to federal governance, we have in mind traditional progressives' values. We also have the strength to get things done. Bernie Sanders doesn't. In Vermont, sure, but nationally, he doesn't. He can't, not federally. But locally, Bernie and followers can. And we believe that local governance works best anyway. Southeastern Vermont can take care of its needs better than a remote bureaucracy. The Northeast Kingdom can do fine without federal interference. Northwest Vermont can run itself effectively without federal guidelines. Vermont's residents on the Green Mountain Spine, they've never felt reliant on federal policy. All Vermonters will be better off if 30% of our incomes were not shoveled to a federal monstrosity that gives us very little in return. That 30%, it's not just large, it's immoral. It funds immoral activity, defense contractors, big pharmas experimenting on poorer Americans, tech conglomerates spying on us, foreign corporations' treatment of near slave labor. A grand reduction in what we send to the feds and a grand reduction in the regulations they impose on Vermont, it's in keeping with the Constitution. The Constitution is a minimalist document. Very few federal powers were granted to the state, and unfortunately, judge after judge ignored things for over 100 years now, and we've gotten to a monstrosity that never should have existed. If you go minimal, it allows funding to happen where it counts, locally. If Vermonters had even 1/5 of the revenue that we send over to the state, we would fund virtually every program prescribed. Literally, every progressive proposal in Montpelier would get funded. If local governments had 1/5 more manpower, we would solve almost every problem that progressives gripe about. And conservatives would be happy because individuals would be keeping more of their money. Conservatives believe that individual families and churches and organizations that are private do best with welfare money when it's with them. So what else unites strong progressives with strong conservatives? It's an antipathy to the powers that be. The big Republican and Democrat establishments, sometimes called the Uniparty, They don't want to see things far from their control. We do. We also share, conservatives and progressives, a disdain for the elite. And that's not government elites necessarily. It's elites in academia, elites in corporations, elites in media. Both progressives and conservatives fight elites by seeking people power, better access, more responsive governments. We uplift the poor. Conservatives do this with freedom of contract. We want better education. Conservatives do this with school choice and with vouchers. We want more civil rights. Conservatives do this with a fast-acting court system open to all. If you're unwilling to check it out, then shame on you. I pay people to visit my website at stewartforliberty.com and forward parts of it to 5 progressives they know. Do that, get paid. Not a lot, but it shows your willingness to be open-minded. Look at we conservatarians. I am one of them, Mark Stewart Greenstein. And with a good look, you just might realize that the liberty-minded Democrats that we are best for Vermont's prosperity and Vermonters' happiness. Thanks for listening here.